In today's video I'm going to show you why learning something new often feels like we're taking a step back when starting out. I'll also share a little trick with you on how you can turn those beginning struggles into one win after another. Bass hack coming up. Hey bass hackers, Misha here with MMEducation, showing you how to learn faster and practice smarter by using the latest findings in neuroscience, so you can become the bass player you want to be, express yourself freely on your instrument and connect with your audience on a deeper level. So if you're new here, consider subscribing, and at any point during the video, go check out the show notes in the YouTube description, bullet points, links to related videos and the background music I'm using, as well as free goodies, all in the YouTube description. Alright, let's get going and build some new neural pathways. We all have a natural urge to grow and learn, and it's quite easy to start off something new. But when the going gets tough, it gets really hard to keep the momentum going and the motivation high enough to not just give up completely. There are a couple of things that make it really hard to keep that motivation going. One reason for this is, let's take a concrete example. You decided to learn pickup, slapping. And you can play your 8th note on the open E string easily with your 2 plucking fingers. Now that you start with your thumb, all of a sudden you have to take down the tempo quite a bit, especially if you're still working on your economy of motion and on your sound and clarity. It's going to be quite tough in the beginning, and it's going to be frustrating because it feels like I should be learning on top, I should be getting quicker, not start from the bottom again. The temptation here is to just wing it, turn up the tempo to what you're used to playing with 2 fingers and just have fun with it. And as much as having fun with it is a big part of learning quicker, you risk automating a really bad economy of motion. Keep it as slow as it needs to be. The other temptation, once you get into a topic, start researching on YouTube or ask your teacher. All these sources of input might present you with an amount of information that is just overwhelming. So many things to do right, so many things to do wrong, so many myths busted and so many hacks. You don't know where to start, and there's so many things that you can do wrong. Here's where having a personal teacher is a big advantage. Here you see the cycle of competence. Stage 1 is the unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you don't know before you start researching. Now what happens? You see something that inspires you and gets you motivated to check out this new technique called slapping. So either you go to YouTube or any other platform on the internet where you can learn some things like that, or you go and get a teacher. Now the teacher tells you what you're already all doing wrong. You must be careful not to do this. You must be careful not to do that. And really be aware of this. The second stage is called conscious incompetence. It means that now, after asking for feedback from your teacher or after going to YouTube and research this topic, you have an idea of what you cannot do yet. Before that, you didn't even know what it takes to slap. Maybe you thought you just, like I did in the beginning, go with your thumb under the string and pluck it really hard. I went to my teacher and he told me, no, it's the other way around. You slap it from the top and then you bounce back with your thumb. Then we come to stage number 3. The name's kind of counterintuitive because we think that conscious competence is the highest level of competence, but turns out it isn't. Because if you're consciously competent to do something, it means that you still have to concentrate on what you're doing while you're doing it. What we want to establish is unconscious competence, so that we can play while singing at the same time. We don't really want to focus on, okay, this finger goes to this fret and this finger goes to this fret and then this finger plays that note. That's all too complicated. You can't do that in real time. That's why you need to automate all these skills and have them as unconscious skills, which is Stage 4. The level of mastery. One thing that Anthony Wellington made me aware of is the fact that there are only 2 blissful states in these 4 stages. The blissful ones are either unconscious incompetence, when you don't know how bad you are, you don't judge yourself, so you feel good about yourself, right? And then the other blissful state is unconscious competence, the level of mastery. But the moment you get feedback, instructions, input, that's where it gets hard. That's where you start judging yourself for not being good enough, not progressing quick enough. And then in the stage of conscious competence, same thing. You know how to do it, but the moment you get distracted, the slightest bit, it all turns to shit. That's why I try to come up with a system to shortcut these circuits. Let's just take slapping as an example of a new skill you want to acquire, and let's go through the cycle one more time. We start out in the unconscious incompetence stage. We want to learn something new, but we don't really know much about it. So the questions we ask ourselves is, what do I know about it? What don't I know about it? Which are my blind spots? We can find these out by either researching on the internet or asking our teacher. Welcome to conscious incompetence. This is where a lot of people get stuck, especially if they got their information from the internet. We tend to be overwhelmed by the amount of information on one topic, or we just focus on what we can't do yet and demotivate ourselves on, I will never be able to do it like that guy. I might as well not start. That's why we skip this step for now and head right over to the conscious competence stage. The idea of skipping the conscious incompetence is as follows. You want to establish where you have to start. What is it that you can already do? Maybe you can slap with your thumb, but you can't pop. Maybe you can just touch the string with your thumb. What do you know about slapping? Once this is established, you know where to start. Now that you know where to start, a lot of times it helps to define your goal. You already learned in why you should set unrealistic goals that setting big picture vision goals far in the future helps you to keep being motivated. So what is your definition of mastery of slapping? Do you want to be double thumbing, double plucking and tapping at the same time? Or is it just enough for you to play octaves in a disco style? What is your definition of mastering this skill? This is going to be your definition of the unconscious competence. When you know where to start and you defined your goals, you can now reverse engineer the process. Now take these steps and break them into tiny little baby steps. Challenge yourself just enough so you're on the upper edge of your comfort zone. Smart goals. Aim for a goal that can be reached in 1 to 5 minutes. Everything beyond that is overwhelming and demotivating. You want to struggle but be able to perform whatever you're doing perfectly most of the time. Aim for 3 perfect ones out of 4. This is your sweet spot, which helps you to get into the flow. Check out my flow hacking series for more information on that topic. Now that you've found your sweet spot, it's all about repetition, because repetition takes your conscious competence and transforms it into unconscious competence. The mistake that a lot of us do is we stop challenging ourselves. But the problem is, if we stop challenging ourselves, if we stop pushing further, the processes will slow down dramatically. Even Albert Einstein said, repeating the same thing again and again and expecting different results is insanity. Are you insane? Keep that struggle going. Don't crawl back into your comfort zone and get all snuggled up. Challenge yourself. Every time a little bit more. But keep an eye on the clock. You don't want to overwhelm yourself and not reach that goal quick enough. 1 to 5 minutes. That should be your goal for reaching your goal. Another benefit that comes from constantly pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zone is that we are more likely to get to a state of flow, which will further accelerate our learning process. At this point we have two options. We can either go back and forth between the conscious incompetence and conscious competence by raising the bar ever so slightly every step of the way. Our just established conscious competence will turn into conscious incompetence the more we raise the bar. Few repetitions and we arrive in the conscious competence again. Then we dial up and go back to the conscious incompetence. The other option would be to automating the skill at the level that we have it right now. Here are two ways of automating skills. So let's say you went through the whole cycle and you've established unconscious competence with slapping the E string with your thumb. Now you come back to your teacher and say, okay, what's next? Now your teacher tells you, you know how to slap the E string, but do you know how to slap the A string? And the whole cycle starts all over. He might as well say, oh, you can slap with your thumb now, but do you know how to pop? Same thing, the whole cycle starts again. Approach number one, start applying your new skill to music. Play along with the song. When you play along with a song that you enjoy listening to, your brain gets emotionally involved. And it is said that information plus emotion equals long-term memory. The more emotion is connected to your new skill, the more your brain will focus on strengthening those new neural connections. However, it is important that you are somewhere close to your comfort zone. If the song that you're playing along to is in 120 BPM, you should be able to perform the riff at 130 to 140 BPM in isolation. So that if you play along with the song, you can really just let go, create an experience, rather than keep judging yourself for the little mess-ups that just happen to everyone, believe it or not. If, on the other hand, you really can't enjoy playing along with the song, then just head back to practicing your conscious competence. There's no use of automating something that you can't even do when focusing on it. Break down the steps to playing along with the song into even smaller bits. What can you already do? What are your trouble spots? You could just play the first two bars of the first verse. You could just play along to the song, but slow it down. Really analyze what keeps you from reaching your goal, and then you know exactly what to focus on in your next cycle of competence. Approach number two, distract yourself while using the new skill. Deliberately think of something else while slapping your bass. Make a shopping list in your head, or think of all the things you're grateful for in this world. This distraction game is also a chance to give the controversial method of watching TV while you practice a chance. Just make sure you take baby steps. So if you just played the riff 10 times in a row perfectly at 120 BPM, don't go watch a 2-hour film now and expect to be playing that same riff perfectly at this speed throughout the whole film. It's not going to happen. When you play the distraction game, you want to stay in your comfort zone. It's already challenging enough to perform well without focusing on what you're doing. Plus, if you challenge yourself now, it's very likely that you automate some mediocre movements. As you can see, there's more than one way to take advantage of the cycle of competence. To keep your motivation going, it makes the most sense to take one micro skill like slapping the E string and take it all the way through the cycle before adding more micro skills. Once automated, you can add more micro skills to further expand your comfort zone bit by bit. Today I showed you why learning something new can feel like a setback. I also showed you how to use micro goals to overcome that stress of overwhelm when getting your information from the internet. I also showed you the 4 stages of learning, so you can always determine the most suitable way of practicing. Now it's up to you to not just take in the information, but create new neural pathways in your brain by applying the newly gained knowledge. Question of the day. What are you currently working on? Can you determine which stage you are on? Let us know in the comment section. Remember that some of the coolest ideas come from you and the MMEducation community. So connect with everyone in the comment section, and if there's a specific topic that you would like to know more about, just let me know and I'll do a tutorial about the subject that interests you the most. Alright base hackers, thanks for checking out this video. I hope it got you one step further towards becoming the bass player you want to be. Definitely subscribe for more videos just like this, and if you haven't downloaded my top 10 practicing hacks, I show you exactly what you need to do to learn more in less time. We talk about stage management, practice space setup, about having better focus, and a lot more. You can grab that for free with a link in the description. Until next time, MMEducation is helping you to learn faster and practice smarter. So keep up the good work. Love and bass.